So if you've watched our channel for any length of time, you know that we are preppers.
Yeah.
And because of that, every once in a while, I get a comment of somebody saying, what are you prepping for? What do you think is going to happen?
Right, right.
And I honestly have to say, I don't know. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Emergencies are unexpected and unplanned.
Yeah.
So what are we preparing for? I don't know. But when it happens, we'll be ready.
And when it happens, we're going to be glad that we're prepared.
Yeah. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple,
Live free.
You know, the roots of our channel have gone back to preparing for emergencies. Way back when we were living in the tiny house, and we were tiny house preppers. And it just recently, as we were coming down to Florida, we stopped at a gas station, and Bill came and told me I had gone inside, and anyway, he ended up talking to somebody for a minute, and I was so thrilled to find out what this nice man has to say. He's someone that has followed our channel, and Bill can share this with you.
So I met him. We only talked for a minute or two, and we shook hands, and
Yeah.
I always love it. We both love it to meet subscribers, and what we especially love, we were talking about this, is to see somebody when all of a sudden recognition dawns in their eyes.
Yeah. They're like, oh.
I saw him looking at me, and his eyes got real big, and I thought, he recognized me. I love that.
It's just fun meeting people.
So anyway, he came over, we talked for a few minutes, and then he went on his way. And then right after that, I discovered he's a member of our Live Simple, Live Free Facebook group, and he had posted on there, and he said, just bumped into Bill Keller fueling up his rig. He was super nice, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And it was good to meet you, Bill. So I came back and I said, yep, great to meet you too as well. And then he came back, and here's the point of this. He says, we are still recovering from Hurricane Helene, and some of your old videos really came in handy after the storm, the rocket stove and such. We were without power for a few weeks, and we were basically in the Stone Age. Well, first of all, I want to say, this man's name was Ryan. I want to say, Ryan, I am so happy that our videos have helped you be prepared.
Right.
And
that you could use the rocket stove.
Yeah, apparently you were using the rocket stove, and that's to be able to cook food when the power is out is a true blessing.
Right. It's important. And we're so glad it genuinely helped.
Yeah. So, he wasn't prepared for Hurricane Helene. I mean, well, let me say that. He wasn't expecting Hurricane Helene.
Right.
But he was prepared, or, he knew where to get the information to build the rocket stove to be able to cook.
Yeah.
So, we want to talk a little bit more about Hurricane Helene, and,
what a monstrous hurricane.
The devastation that happened, especially, it happened a lot here in Florida, all along the coast. But up in North Carolina, those people, we feel so bad for them. And you may have seen the last video we just did, talking about how you guys who donated to Thrive Life's Hurricane Relief Fund and really made a difference in that. So if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch that. But, these people were just never expecting something like this.
Nothing like this has ever happened to flood to that extent in most people's lifetime that they ever knew about.
Well, yeah, this is like a 1,000-year flood, And
oh, man.
The thing of it is, they were hundreds of miles from the Gulf where the storm was. They never would have imagined. So they weren't prepared for it, most of them, because that's just totally unexpected.
You would never expect it, yep.
And that's the whole point of being prepared, or being prepared for things that come up that are unexpected.
Yeah.
Now, the water, it rained like 15 inches in 2 hours or some crazy thing. I don't remember the numbers. But being in the mountains like that, all the water very quickly was funneled right down into the rivers in the valleys. And as a result, the wall of water that came down through there just literally, it didn't just flood the towns, it just literally obliterated them. They were just simply gone. And for the people that were living in the valley where their house was gone, there's no amount of preparation they could have done that would help.
Well, everything's washed away.
Because everything's washed away.
Yeah. It's terrible.
But here's the point I want to make. There were also thousands of people who were in houses that were above the flood line, and so their house wasn't damaged, but the roads were completely gone, and they had no way to get out, no way to get in and out, no way to get food, no way to get access, no way to get help.
You know, they've been trying to take teams of mules and donkeys to try to get stuff to
Helicopters, you know, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I heard one situation on the news where there was a woman who had an infant, and she had run out of diapers, and she had run out of formula for the child, and she was desperate to be able to feed her child. You know, they obviously survived the flood. They were probably up above the water line, the flood line, but she had no supplies in for anything because she just didn't expect it.
What a terrifying situation. I'm sure it would have been such a relief for her. And I can understand this. If she had something like this happen, but she had some formula ahead and some diapers ahead, just like when we had the toilet paper crisis back during COVID, just having some toilet paper ahead. And you know, I can't criticize her. She never expected that in a million years. But what a relief it would have been for anybody with children, and for her with that baby, to have just planned and been prepared that if something happened, she'd still have the food and the necessities for the baby. Yeah. Even like in our area of Florida, where it wasn't the extensive, terrible devastation that some other areas had, we still had a pretty massive hurricane go over, and electricity was out for a while, and a lot of trees down, a lot of damage. And it is good for anybody to feel like that they're prepared so that they have lighting at night, they've got water, they've got food. If there's some way to be able to have another source of electricity, which down here isn't so much for the cold, but for the intense heat and humidity. But just any kind of preparation like that can help. Bill and I have talked about what else can we even do, even though we're not around the house during most of the hurricane season. What can we do, like to make the house even more secure? But it just, you know, hurricanes used to be something that we really felt bad about to those people there. But even though we weren't around for these really bad ones, we love this place and we love our home, and all of a sudden it's become very personal.
You know, for us, we've lived all of our lives further north and not in the hurricane zone.
Yeah, we had other things.
In Pennsylvania, when a hurricane hit, which did happen, there was nothing left but rain, and like in North Carolina, but we never had that kind of rain.
Right.
So for us, you know, hearing about a hurricane, we were very concerned about the people in the area where the storm hit, but it was almost just kind of like a curiosity for us or something.
Well, no, I wouldn't call it a curiosity. It's just a sad thing happening somewhere else, a terrible tragedy.
But the main thing is it didn't affect us at all. So,
well, yeah, we weren't here.
And I suspect that many of you who do not live in the South just kind of approach it the same way. It's terrible, but it doesn't affect me. Now that we're here in Florida, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, and you know, there have been 3 storms that have come over our house since we bought it. We haven't been here for any of them. We've been up north, but we had our security cameras around the house here in Florida so we could see what's happening until the power went out.
Yeah, and then you don't know.
But we weren't fearing for our lives, obviously. We weren't fearing for our main home because this is our second home. But it was still very nerve-wracking to be up there and not be able to see what's happening.
And we've got friends down here now.
Right.
You know, I've talked to several, and they said that when Helene came over, you know, it was pretty high category when it even hit this area. And they said that it was horrifying how much everything was blowing and shaking. You know, we weren't here for that. We just, you know, our biggest thing would be the friends, and then just wondering if we were going to completely lose the house, which that tree just about hit the house.
Yeah, so, you know, I've shown this before, but we were very fortunate, and let me show you a little bit about the damage that we did have. So here's the tree that came down, big root ball there, over that way. Also right here, there's another tree that's still standing, but all the branches have been stripped off. So it looks like a telephone pole with a few leaves. That one's gonna have to be cut down as well. I had said that, well, you can see here how close it came to the house. I had said that it did not hit the house, but I was wrong. It did. Right there. Isn't that amazing? And then our big live oak tree there is still standing perfectly strong, perfectly well. And then here in the back, we have one more. The tree didn't come down, it's just a branch that broke off. And that's it. That's the extent of the damage, except the skirting blew out. By the way, this is not a mobile home. This is a custom built home, just built on piers. So I was going to replace the skirting anyway because it's all old and dilapidated. But yeah, so that's it. The house is perfectly fine. I've been here for a day and a half getting my business taken care of, and now I'm headed back up to Virginia, and we'll be back here next month for the winter. Okay, so that video I just showed you was about a week after the storm. We are now down here in Florida for the winter. It's about, I don't know, 6 weeks or so since the storm happened. Let me show you what's happening. So here's our property, and it looks really bare because there used to be 2 trees right here on the corner, which is now, you know, they're gone, and so everything is so much more open than it used to be. After I saw the trees that were down, I went back to Virginia the next day, and I found someone to take care of it for me. And the city or the county is going around and picking up all of this stuff. So I found someone who they had a machine, a bobcat, where they pushed it up next to the road and then cut it all up. So at this point we're just waiting for the pickup. This whole area was considered a natural disaster emergency, so we're getting funds from the federal government to help with cleanup. So the county has these big huge trucks. You can see damage over here too. The county has these big huge trucks that are going around and picking up all this stuff, and that's all being paid for by the federal government. And as I walk down this road, you can see all the trees that were down. And this road used to have beautiful overhanging trees, a big canopy. It was like driving down through a tunnel. It was really beautiful. All of those trees are gone, and the whole thing just looks totally different. Fortunately, most of the houses in the area survived it. And you can see that one right there had some siding blown off. But yeah, our community actually survived. The houses survived fairly well, but there's just so many trees down. There you can see some of the trees that have been stripped bare, and once again piles of wood all over the place that have been cut up and are just waiting to be picked up by the county. Now this road here is it's the same road as down another block, and this whole place used to be completely covered with a canopy of trees, and it's just all completely gone. It's so sad. Now over here is a pond. You can see that, and that will be our emergency water supply using our Berkey filter should we ever need it. But it used to be there were so many trees along here you couldn't hardly even tell that there was a pond there, and now this is all open and the pond is clearly visible. Now this is about a block away from our house, and you see some damage to that shed there. But this trailer right here, it's an old trailer, but as far as I know there was somebody living in it until a tree came down across it on the end there. The tree's been removed, but the trailer is no longer livable. Of course, this is an old trailer, and I question whether it was livable anyway, but you can see some of the damage there. There's only one, I guess, good thing you can say that happened with all of this. As I mentioned, this road had a complete beautiful canopy of trees. It was a beautiful thing to drive down, but some of those branches were low enough that they kind of scraped the top of my box truck just a little bit. It didn't do any damage to the top of the box. It wasn't that low, but I could hear them scraping across the top. And that wasn't a problem at all until I put those solar panels up on the roof.
And ever since I did that, I've been very concerned about driving down this road, to the point that I figured I would have to go around the block to avoid this section. Well, that's not a problem anymore. I can drive right down this road. No branches come anywhere near the truck.
And besides hurricanes, there are just all kinds of potential disasters or emergencies where prepping comes in handy. Elizabeth already mentioned this, but you remember the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Well, you know, people started to panic when toilet paper wasn't available. I don't even know what caused it initially, the initial shortage, but because of the panic, people started hoarding it. When it did come available, instead of buying one package, they'd buy 3 or 4 or as much as they could get. And it created a real problem. Didn't affect us at all because we had plenty of toilet paper set aside. In fact, other people were buying as much as they could. That's called hoarding. You hoard it for yourself and nobody else can do it, can get it. We weren't hoarding because we already had it ahead of time. We bought it slowly over time. So we actually helped the situation, but not by not being part of the panic and not creating a worse shortage. So just our prepping with toilet paper, we were able to ride that crisis out. It didn't affect us at all because we had plenty of it. Another one, you may remember, this was in April, just this past April 2024. This says, breaking, the largest U.S. Fresh egg producer halts production at a Texas plant after bird flu found in chickens. About 1.6 million laying hens and 337,000 mullets were culled. Well, at that time, eggs were still available, but they went up to like $4.50 a dozen or something like that, which is like more than 3 times the normal price. Well, it didn't affect us at all because we have lots of eggs stored. You know, our Thrive Life egg powder is wonderful stuff, and we just use that. I mean, we use it all the time anyway, but we used that until the price of eggs came back down. Of course, we don't always use that because that's scrambled eggs, and we also like over easy. But in a time here where the prices tripled, it didn't affect us at all. Another thing that just happened recently, about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, just before the election, the longshoremen were going on strike. And it was about to create a major issue with our economy, especially all up and down the East Coast, where, ships wouldn't be able to be unloaded. And that would create economic crisis and shortages of products and all kinds of things. Well, that didn't ever materialize. The day it was supposed to start, it ended, and I didn't know why, but I recently found out it was because Governor DeSantis of Florida said that if the strike happened, he would mobilize the Florida National Guard to unload all of the ships that came in. And I guess that just kind of took the wind out of the sails of the strike, and so I thought they canceled it, but apparently now they've just postponed it to sometime in January or something. I don't know. But if that had happened, there would have been all kinds, or could potentially have been all kinds of shortages of all kinds of products, and it wouldn't have affected us because we are prepared. So the point is, you just never know. All kinds of things can come up where you need to be prepared.
So emergencies can happen in a lot of different ways. We've encountered them ourselves in so many different ways, including losing all of my income because I had a stroke. There's just different things that can happen. And so we really want to be able to offer things like that rocket stove, because you can just take small twigs and you can cook food. And after a hurricane, there's lots of small twigs. And just anything that we can share to help so that you can think about what would you have wished you had ready if some kind of an unexpected emergency happens. Mm-hmm. And so if you're up north, shelter's so important. If you're medicine, there's just so much to keep in mind. We were so thankful that we kind of tend to keep some extra toilet paper around when it became such a crisis because the store is emptied. We didn't have to be in there bothering anybody or even trying to get any toilet paper. In fact, we gave some of ours to other people. So there's just so many different ways that you can have an emergency that you're going to wish you were prepared for. And it's just a matter of stopping and thinking, what can I have around that's going to help if I lose electricity, or if for some reason I can't get to the store, or just all sorts of things. You know, my income drops drastically, which has happened to us. When Hurricane Andrew came through, there was a loss of electricity even where we were living for a pretty long time. And so it's just ways of being prepared, you know.
You know, many times you hear people talking about prepping and they say the three most important things are food, water, and shelter. I disagree. The three most important things are shelter, water, and food.
Yeah,
The opposite direction. And here's why. Down here in Florida, it's not so, the shelter's not so important, but up in the north, especially if it's something that happens in the winter, shelter can be the most important thing, because if you don't have a warm place to stay, you very well might not survive the night.
That's right.
And then water is the next important, because
Yes.
you can only live without water for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, they say they had 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without oxygen.
Right. So shelter first to stay warm and stay dry, then water, because you can only live a couple days without, and then food.
And food, yes.
But then it goes beyond that, like she was talking about, toilet paper, toothpaste, medical supplies,
Yes.
Medications, all kinds of things like that.
I have a lot of the kitchen items that I've got where I don't have to have electricity. I've got a little hand mixer that doesn't take electricity. Do you have a can opener that doesn't take electricity? Do you have a way to cook that won't require electricity? There's a lot of things. What about the food that you're trying to keep cold? There's just a lot of things to think about, you know. And when we were getting ready for this, I was realizing that, you guys know that we work with Thrive Life. It's a freeze-dried food company. That's just something that we've let you guys know about. It's not really the heart of our channel, but we've let you know about it. And I was just realizing that it wasn't that I became a prepper because I found Thrive Life. We were preppers, and we looked so long to try to find a good source of meat that could be stored safely. And that's how we came across finding it. And so, we are glad to know that if someone is interested, we can let you know about a very good, nutritious quality of individual items so you can cook the way you need to. That has a 25-year shelf life, a 1-year shelf life with no refrigeration after it's opened. And I can't have anything with gluten in it, so it's very helpful to me to have individual items and not pre-made meals that usually have noodles and stuff in them. So we're glad that if you're interested, that's one of the things that we can at least tell you about, along with ideas for your water and ideas for for the things that you might need.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this before, but I want to let you know that Thrive Life is having a big sale, Black Friday sale this year, like they do every year. It'll be November 22nd through the 30th, and everything on the website pretty much will be on sale up to 50% off. It's an amazing sale. So if you're interested in stocking up with Thrive, this would be a great time to do it, November 22nd through the 30th. But just look at your whole situation.
Yes.
And try to think of all of the different things that you might need. If you need to go buy toilet paper, do it. If you need to go to Aldi and buy cans of vegetables, do it.
That's right.
Whatever you can do to be prepared. Wait, be prepared for what? I don't know. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. And that's kind of the whole thing, is that we don't know. We don't know what's going to come or what's going to happen. People talk about everything from EMPs to the crash of the dollar to physical calamity, these terrible storms and things like that. There's just
the loss of a job, loss of health.
Yes.
Retirement.
Yeah.
When your income drops and if you have stores ahead of time, you can live a lot better when you're in retirement age.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that having the food around has been an investment for our retirement, and if we don't have to use it before then.
Right.
Yep. So anyway, we have a playlist of all sorts of videos that we've done about preparing, and we'll put a link in the description below, and any that you would want to look at. If you have questions or anything you want us to address, but we would really like to feel like that that you've really looked at your home and your life and made sure that if something would happen, you're still going to be okay, and your kids are going to still be okay, at least for the basics of getting through the emergency. And it meant so much to know he came up with that rocket stove design. It's really good. That rocket stove actually helped this family. It means a lot. And we just want to know that you're going to come through things in as good a shape as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, thanks for watching.
Yeah, live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
Yes.
You be prepared.
We love you guys. We'll be back, of course, very soon. And love you from Florida.
All right.
Bye-bye.